Hi, everyone. Welcome to your Wednesday market call. My name is Lee Honish. I am joined by Fred Solomon. How are you, Fred?
All right, I'm almost home, just driving back to my house.
Well, we'll drag it out a little bit. As always, go to homeadvocates.io, homeadvocates.io. Find out about how you can join and be a part of our program. With that said, this is our Wednesday call. It's open to the general public. It's streamed and pushed and all kinds of stuff because, well, to be perfectly honest, we've given extremely good market data on real estate for the last year and change. And we're very proud of the data that we have provided and the accuracy of the data that we have provided. So let's talk about it. Today, we're going to talk about foreclosures, Fred. And this comes out of a recent Market Watch article. And they are quoting Adam Data, which means I don't have to read a very lofty Adam Data synopsis. So when the number of foreclosure starts is up 219% since the start of this year. And over the last few months, it's jacked up another 150%. We hear all kinds of numbers in the media, some inflated one way, or I would always recommend Black Knight, Adam Data. There's a bunch of good sources. In the mortgage industry, what do you use for market data, for raw data?
Google, and and hopefully the sources that I get my information from are legit. Because we don't know and we don't check out the sources. We just take the information that they give us to be true. And our past president used to say fake news, so you just never know if it's real or not. But we just hope for the best.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
all.
gambling.
It is like gambling. I know for myself, it's watching all the streams of media, but at the end of the day, the thing that I'll always divert back to are what is the actual tangible data that even these people are deriving their theories from, right? And everybody will use everything. I talked about this on yesterday's call. The thing that I really like in the media is is it too hard to believe that everybody's going to be foreclosed upon? It's not true, but it could happen, right? Those type of posing questions and poking questions, which are really good on conversion and actually getting people to engage. That's why the media does it. They pose right. They're trying to engage the audience and create, I wouldn't say controversy is always the angle. I think the idea is to create conversation. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about 96% of all metro areas saw an annual increase in foreclosure filings, with foreclosure rates highest in, everybody write them down, shocker, Illinois, also the highest crime rate, New Jersey, Ohio. And when it comes to the numbers of foreclosure starts, California, top of the list, Fred. California's top of the list. Second place, Florida, Tennessee, Illinois, and Ohio. So, wow. That's crazy. Foreclosure starts, if you don't know, there's a difference between a filing and a start. So at about 6 months, you're a start. When there's actual paper on you, you're a filing. So that's not encouraging at all. What they were saying in the article, Rick Sharga, Executive Vice President of Marketing Intelligence at Adam. New title for me, Fred. I do like that one. Marketing Intelligence. Oof, that's really good. Executive of Marketing Intelligence at Home Advocates. Might have to change it for next week. Might be better. Foreclosure activity across the United States continued in its slow and steady climb back to pre-pandemic numbers. He's still projecting it will take till the end of the year or even possibly early 2023 to get back to where we were before the pandemic. So let's put that all into perspective. That was approximately depending on what report, 6 or 700,000 people. Okay. We know that we've been told by Black Knight, as well as Adam and other sources, that there are 3 to 6 million people that are extremely delinquent. And you're telling me that only the first wave will get done in the next few months. That's kind of a big number, Fred. I mean, and a slow rollout. Nobody's jumping right on it.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of backup in these court systems from COVID. So I don't know, what it's like in the bankruptcy courts. I don't know what it's like in the, foreclosure courtrooms. But, we just stopped a foreclosure yesterday, by the way, and helped our client do that. So, a lot of this stuff can be done online, but I just don't know. I'd have to talk to my buddies who are in that, who are bankruptcy attorneys to get the exact data, because they'll tell you. So I really don't have enough knowledge to quote on it, but I could easily find out by just sending a quick text. Hey, how are the bankruptcy courts doing? Hey, how are, what's going on in the loss mitigation departments and getting these foreclosures stopped and all that fun stuff.
Well, the reason I look at it, of course, is a data generated lead source, right? What did it take for real estate agents in 2006 to start working on short sales? And they came over in droves with very bad training, or they would buy into programs that were really bad training. I mean, everybody seemed to have a short sale program or gimmick for 2007 to take advantage of the market. I would imagine that there are a bunch of, well, I've already seen the REO angle being played out quite a bit. There are a lot of people promising REOs and REO training right now. That usually is the first sort of wave that I always see. Then the second will be something like pre-foreclosure or how to work with, and eventually short sales again. Eventually, those are inevitably going to start to occur as the values drop on properties. So I don't know what the catalyst was that made the general herd of real estate agents in 2006 and 2007 start to do short sales. I actually don't. And if anybody wants to chime in on the call on what that catalyst may have been, I would love to hear what made people with little to no training get involved in something that's, in my opinion, short sales in 2006 and 7 were probably as complicated as a probate, easily as complicated as a probate in 2006 and 7, because you were just dealing with things you didn't understand. People who kind of got it were REO people. And I'm wondering what's going to happen, right? I have this really strong thing, Fred, of worrying about agents being taken advantage of and promise things that aren't actual, like REOs. Or, hey, take this weekend course and you can start doing probates. That's not really a thing. You really can't learn everything there is to know about a probate. So I wonder what the angle will be that'll start making real estate agents start to focus on this data source. Because if we're just going with where we're at right now and what this information's telling me, you're literally talking about hundreds of thousands of files over the next few months, right? Coming online, which is a data source. And I just, people who don't know what they're doing with pre-foreclosure don't know. And there's a lot of regulations that happened because of 2007. And people get taken advantage of and get promised things that they can't do. And it's difficult. Would you care to comment on any of that? That was a mouthful by me.
I look at data and I just try to digest it, and I try to figure out how can I use this data to educate people and use it to be helpful. So I, when I hear this stuff, I just go, well, what can I tell people about it without sounding like a negative Nelly or sounding so one-sided all the time? Because this time we've been talking about what's going on with this market for the last year. I mean, we've been telling people, hey, look, come October, the foreclosures are going to start coming. And they kept on delaying it and delaying it. Now it doesn't look like they're going to do that anymore. And so what do we got to tell our people is, look, foreclosure starts are up. All right. Since the beginning of the year, it's doubled. All right. We're still not at pre-pandemic levels. They say we're not going to do it until, the end of the year. That may or may not be true, depending on what's going on with the lenders and the court system, right? Because that's what it comes down to. So how do we give this information to our clients? We give it in a way like we're just saying, hey, we've been talking about prices coming down. There is inventory increasing. Interest rates have gotten a little bit better, by the way. So they've dropped to 1.25%, but we're still 2.375% higher than where we were in 9 months ago. So interest rates are almost double where they were 8 or 9 months ago. Inventory has doubled in a lot of areas as far as the number of homes available for sale. And then pending sales are down 20% across the United States. So if we're talking to a homeowner and we're looking at this data and now we're showing them, hey, foreclosures are on the rise. It's very, very powerful data to present to a seller to say, hey, look, now might be the time to sell, right? Do you see what I see? And all of this is just helping us in our cause to help educate people and give them good information and good data. And hopefully the data is true that we're getting, to relay that to these homeowners and say, do you see what I see? And if you do, you might want to put a for sale sign on your property sooner rather than later.
Right. The debate is always the loss of equity. I think that coupled with, they're really going to foreclose, to, you've really got equity, so they're not making a deal. These are overwhelming, they're compounding factors, right? So obviously we are in a recession, mainly because I spent my morning watching another round of layoffs occurring at a bunch of companies, totaling thousands of people, which naturally happen in a recession. It's part of that little circle that they always show on TV where layoffs actually occur and stock prices go down and people freak out. And I've said this, I believe Opendoor will be the biggest casualty in the real estate world, certainly. I'm very convinced that, and I'm going to put this in my think category, not know. I think Opendoor bit off more that they could chew. I'll bet they file bankruptcy with this new DOJ filing. But all of these things are compounding, Fred. Like, they're all happening simultaneously. Like, we've hit the perfect storm of a lot of craziness occurring in the market at this moment. And it's really wild.
We're going to look back. We're going to look back a year from now and say, you know what? This is when it all started to get really bad, right? And a year from now, depending on what happens to the job market, if we start losing jobs, then guess what? This is going to get really bad because inflation isn't going to improve. And then if people lose their jobs, holy cow, that's when it's going to get ugly. That's when it's going to be a bloodbath. But right now, the economy yeah, we're hearing about layoffs and stuff like that, but the economy has still gained over 250,000 jobs for the month of June. I mean, for the month of July. So we're still okay, even though there's a lot of, sectors, like, for example, the lending sector, mortgages. I mean, there's 75% layoffs. There's a lot of companies that are laying off individuals right now.
Oh, you can Google YouTube on any given morning and just watch an entire round of layoffs. You can. I was watching it today with some weird tech companies. I'm like, how are these guys like going out of like stocks just crashing and diving randomly? 1,000 people laid off here. That's a lot of people. 1,000 people is a lot of people. But when you hear that against the backdrop of, well, nationally, it doesn't affect me. Really? Starbucks is trying to strike just to make enough money so that they can pay their bills based on inflation. It's not that hard to believe that it's all collapsing, and taking it back to where we started, which is this increase in activity just to get back to pre-pandemic numbers. Holy crap. Do you realize how long the wave of distressed properties we're talking about? Like, we're talking at least years of backlogged and just sort of this wishy-washy wave of people going into default with no relief. There's no relief for this project, and there shouldn't be, right? Because there's equity in these properties, and there'll be equity in these properties for years, right? There will be enough for a bank to be whole. So why would they do a loan mod? You think they need, again, 3%, 5% of their portfolio? No, they'll sell it, they'll get the money back, and they'll focus on the ones that are paying. It's the way a bank operates. I think this is a very long, drawn out foreclosure cycle. Yeah, it started a couple months later than I thought it actually would, but I figured it had to ramp up, right? Like, I figured it had to get there. And if you're telling me it's still going to take you to the end of the year to get back to basically 600,000 or 700,000, actual filings, as they like to refer to it. So we have a national term, right? There's actual paper on it as compared to starts. I still believe that they're declaring 91 days at 5 p.m. a start, based on the way their criteria is laid out. But anything past 3 months, people just generally don't pay again. So what would it take for agents on a day-to-day basis? I know that we have brokers on this call. We have some really big brokers on this call. When do you start telling your people, stop focusing on expireds and cold calls? You might want to go get, a list of notice of defaults and start visiting some people. At the very least, go put up a monster marketing piece if you're somebody on this call, and go guarantee yourself a face-to-face appointment with these people and start. And again, we're back to it again, Fred. Build your darn list. Build the darn list.
Well, as Sally and I dealt with the foreclosure yesterday, and we helped stop it. And, it felt good to do that. I'm not going to lie. It felt good. The guy, we're okay. And now we go, he got the trustee sale delayed until September 6th, right? So now I'm like, we got a month and 3 days. So we got to come up with a plan of attack. And that's the conversation that we're going to have today. Yesterday, he was done. He was spent. He did not want to talk. After he got that trustee sale date delayed, he borrowed his neighbor's car to drive to Pomona from Magic Mountain in Santa Clarita, Castaic area. He got over to the trustee sale. They started 20 minutes late. At 10:30, he texted me, or I texted him at, I think, 10:22. And around 10:30, he told me, I got it, delayed. So I'm like, okay, great. Now we're ready to help you. Are you open to suggestions? Is the next conversation. And of course, the guy's going to say yes, because I've earned his trust along with Sally. Sally just went there and knocked on the door and had a 1 hour conversation. She didn't tag it. She just knocked on the door good for her. And she got the guy to talk for an hour. And the questions that I asked yesterday to this guy were like, okay, what would you have done if Sally didn't come knock on your door? Like, where would you be at right now? I just want him to realize. And then the next question is, what did you think was going to happen? Your question, right? And I texted those two questions to him. And I said, you don't have to answer these now, but when we do a video, these are the two questions I want to know answers to. And literally, what would you have done? What would you have done? And so anyways, we all look at this from a numbers, from a data perspective, but then you and I and some of the people in this group are tagging and we're talking to homeowners that actually are in very desperate situations, and the stories are legit.
Oh, and they're crazy right now. This first wave, the people that are like actually facing sale dates right now, they are some of the wildest things I've seen. I mean, by far, at least in my 35, 40 years of doing asset management. Like, I don't know what it is particularly about this first wave that we're going to have probably till the end of the year. And these are all pre-pandemic people. These people have literally not made payments in 4 or 5 years. So everybody take a breath on the topic. They didn't make payments before the pandemic. Then they got the pandemic and didn't make the payments there. And even once that got released, they still weren't making payments. So you're talking about people who haven't paid for years and years in a lot of these cases.
This guy was particularly 3 years, and
3 years. That's wild.
$97,000 in arrears. And we are going to have to most likely bring this loan current. We're going to have to most likely make the payment during the time that we get this property ready to be sold. And we're going to have to move these people out. And this girl, the lady, is sequestered, and she can't have people inside of her home. But we're going to have to, I don't know, go rent somewhere so we can get this place sold, because that's what it's going to take. And we don't want to risk her life. So God forbid, we got to get them in a living conditions that are acceptable to them, so we can get them out and get this place fixed up and sold. But it's going to be very, very difficult to sell a house when you can't go inside and look at it, and the owners aren't able to come out of the property and let someone go inside their home because they're afraid of COVID. I get it.
I do too. I'd love to cover some of these things that Sally brought up. First, it never showed up on her NOD list, or I would have tagged him long ago. So let's talk about this, because data right now is all over the place. I am using multiple sources. Lori's talking about even using a different source and looking into seeing if we can get the data out of there. The sources we've been using have been all over the place. I get stuff from Title. It seems to be all over the place. By shutting off the FICO system and the reporting system and the filing systems for so long from the COVID lockdown, everything appears to be out of whack when it comes to data at the moment. I assume it will correct itself with time, right? Atom Data is really Realty Track. It's data you can purchase, and they are definitely basing their numbers on the flow of data that they have coming through. Black Knight has whatever sources they use. Property Radar the same way. So yeah, it's spotty at best when it comes to data, to answer Sally's point. Jim Cooper asked, is there equity? Sally wrote, yeah, 400,000. Jim Cooper, see, best part of being in our group. I may have a solution. I'll email Fred or Sally. There you go.
I mean, Another good source that I don't think any of us have ever looked at is County Record Research, by the way. Kurt Demir used to have he's the owner of that company.
Mm-hmm.
He used to have a investment, um, what was it? Like a investment club, right? Like how to buy
Yes.
properties. And I think they were in Huntington Beach. I spoke at his club a couple times from what I remember. And they also have a service. I don't know if they still have it or not, but they would go down to the trustee sale and you would give them the cashier's checks and they would go buy the properties for you. And, you would tell them what your stopping point was on these properties that were going into foreclosure. So they had a couple unique services, and those are, that's another source of data that you might want to look at. I don't know.
We're
If
looking at all of them. And Antonio Zitove. What about Retran? I know about County Record Search, and I know the person Fred's talking about. And to Antonio's point, I know about Retran. I know about Boinatech. I even know the guys who pull 30, 60, 90s. It's all where their data comes from. There is not one true source at this moment. It is still all over the place. We're brand new. You guys have to realize we didn't really start foreclosing till July 1st. I mean, we're only about 30 days into, my guess, and this is going to be in my think category, not what I know, a wave of foreclosures that will last, I would guess, 2 years. I mean, pre-foreclosure activity, it's at least 2 years beyond peak, right? Until it gets back to, generally the default rate for banks is about 0.5% to 1%. That's acceptable to them. Right now they are projecting 3 to 5%, which was quote unquote catastrophic and dates all the way back to what happened in 2006 and 7. And that was only at 3%, as high as 4%. The numbers they're talking about could be as high as 5% this time. And that's a lot of, it's a lot, Fred. It's a lot. It's a lot of people who haven't made payments and not making payments.
Here's the thing that a lot of people aren't aware of. The national average for rental delinquency, which is at least 30 days delinquent, is 13.4%. California is actually 14.1% delinquent. Why? Because rents are higher here. So 14% of all tenants are not paying. I talked to a couple buddies that work at these big apartment complexes where there's 3,000 and 5,000 places that they rent out in Orange County, and they're like, yeah, 13% is high. We try to stay at a 5% rental delinquency. So 13% is double and triple what we would be comfortable with as a company. So, just giving you some stats.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the offset this time, Wells Chase and B of A figured it out, last summer. So they all basically got themselves out of the game and made all the, we're going to lose, the second tier companies this time around. That inevitably always happens. Inevitably, those types of loan companies or smaller lending institutions always wind up getting lost in the mix. What I'm fascinated by is the general overall, and I mean overall, real estate is taking a beating on the stock market, like taking a beating for such a market with such high values. In general, publicly traded companies in real estate on the stock market have not been performing well over the last few months, pretty much till the beginning of the year. And they're laying people off. And that's a very legitimate thing. And I just don't know where the panic mode is by redefining the word, recession. because if you say it enough, it must be true. We're not in a recession. Okay, people are getting laid off. Is there really a balance, or are we changing the numbers? And generally, recessions are only talked about after they happen, but we meet the actual criteria for it. And the market is certainly behaving that way, or Fred wouldn't have gotten his dream of watching, mortgage rates actually dropping. That, you want me to tell you how I know we're in a recession? You were right, Fred. They dropped the lending rate. That was the dead giveaway to me.
It's not they actually raised short-term interest rates 1.75%, but long-term interest rates are based on GDP, which is what we just came out with, the jobs report, which has been strong, and unemployment. Unemployment and the jobs report, but jobless claims. So we're having 250,000 jobless claims per week, and those numbers are at an 8-month high. So more people filing for unemployment, and the unemployment rate is still at 3.6%, which is exactly where we were before the pandemic started. So we gained back all the jobs that we lost. We lost 22 million, and I think we gained back 21 million. And, we have a shortage of workers at many local restaurants in there, as we've talked about before. When you pay Del Taco employees $18 to $22 an hour to work there, you kind of know that they're having a difficult time finding people to work. So that's what's going on. Obviously, now we're headed into a recession. Companies are going to be more frugal. And so we're hearing about layoffs, but the job market is still, gaining 250,000 jobs a month. So even though we're having 250,000 jobs a week of jobless claims, that means 1 million a month. That means we're still gaining 1.2 million jobs a month based on all the people that are losing jobs. So are some of those people finding different jobs, or are these, individuals on each side of that argument? So it's really, it's just where you got to watch the data right now. And the most important data that we have to watch as a society to see where this freaking economy is going is if we start losing jobs. If we start losing jobs, I'm telling you, it is going to be a really bad recession. Because
and that's the way, and that's the direction it's going. And again, you have to look at this, and it's not me trying to be a negative person. Our best economy is war. Is it make sense for Pelosi to go to Taiwan and piss off China and probably start tension? Maybe. I mean, war is a really good thing. I mean, we've been able to provide Ukraine with lots of powerful weapons at cost. War is our best economy, and we're literally starting world wars. Literally, Fred, we are starting world wars with countries that are financially broken as well. It's a very, very weird time right now.
I don't know what to say except watch the data and communicate effectively with your clients. And just, I when I talk to a client, we're talking about triggers, right? Why are people selling? And one of them is not being able to make the payment. That's a trigger. One of them is my daughter is going to BYU. That's a trigger. One of them is this or that. Whatever the triggers are, the data is only going to help solidify their decision to sell. So use the data in that conversation and don't be overkill with it. This is how we approach our clients. When we call them up, we say, hi, this is so-and-so. I'm calling from Solomon Financial Mortgage and Realty. I'm on Fred's team. We're calling back our previous clients to let them know that it looks like inventory is increasing and it looks like home prices are on their way down. So as a courtesy, we're just calling everybody back to say, if you have a property that you were thinking about selling, now might be a good time to do that before home prices drop any further.
Yeah.
No, Fred, we're not looking about selling. Thanks for the phone call. If we hear about anybody, we'll reach out to you and let you know. Great. That's the purpose of reaching out and talking to the clients.
I would agree. I took your advice yesterday, Fred. I was perusing around Facebook, which I occasionally do, since I have multiple profiles and business pages. But I was going through, and one of the club questions came up, and it goes, new agent, just asking, how do I get a listing? And I would put this out for all of you that are brokers or have friends or people that are starting out. And it was a brand new post. It was like 3 minutes old on one of the groups, and it came up on my feed. And I wrote back, go get a copy of your NOD list from your title rep or whomever, your MLS. Like, they're not hard to get a hold of. I said, and I gave her a link to the page that has our 9 alternatives. I said, print out this page of alternatives to foreclosure, go knock on the door, go ask them what they're going to do. I said, you'll be very surprised at the results right now. And the response from that individual was, I don't want to work short sales.
Oh. Oh my God.
And so I don't know if this is to everybody's advantage or not. I guess that's probably what's holding back most of the agents. They still are literally still twitchy from 2007.
Because all these properties that with equity are going to be the worst short sales ever to deal with.
Yeah, right. I said, I didn't, at that point I was about, and I had typed it out. No, properties now, 90+% of them have equity. And I was about to type that all. And I'm like, what's the point? What's the point? What's the point? People already know that there's equity in every property in the United States, basically. Like,
it's a new agent. The new agent might associate the word short sale, which equals foreclosures, with equity or no equity. It doesn't phase them that a short sale is a property that is upside down. It might just be the word short sale, meaning that it's in foreclosure and it may or may not have equity, and they don't understand what the definition of short sale is. That was probably what we were dealing with.
It's probably a bad definition. Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with you. I would love to see the definitions for the nation on the word out of the actual textbooks, or at least the questions that they pose. What is a short sale? A property that's in pre-foreclosure. What?
Why don't you just go back to that post and say, are you familiar with the definition of a short sale? And are you familiar with what the,
that's too much. Oh my gosh. By then, well, you got to send it. The problem was by the time I twitched on that one and my jaw had hit my desktop, right, reading it, and I'm starting to type out the response. By then I had already been inundated. You got to get up at 6 a.m. and start making cold calls. You got to get yourself on those expireds. I like to go canvas neighborhoods. I still do postcard. Like, all the normal stuff occurred within 15 or 20 minutes of watching this sequence play out. And I'm like, okay, I know the percentages on all of these, and the advice I gave her by far is the best advice on this page. It's going to be a slow group. I don't think regular agents will be here till fall when they get desperate. Certainly during the summer, they are all still doing the same old stuff they've been doing, Fred. But if I were a broker right now, I'd have my people with a list of anything that's filed. Okay, I want filed, not hypothetical 91s or whatever some of these property data companies are doing. I want actual paper NOD or greater, list pendants for those of you in Chicago. I want paper. And even if you were just physically knocking on those doors, take this as free advice if you're listening to this and not one of my students using the tagging system, which will guarantee the face-to-face. But that seems way more logical to me, Fred, than going to the front door with, and yes, this is a real thing, a ketchup and mustard condiment package to leave at the front door with my information on it with the hopes that they'll remember my name. By the way, very real door gift. I actually remember not too long ago, after the pandemic was over, people were like flashing their door knocking gifts. Door knocking gifts. Wait, let me do that into the camera one more time. Door knocking gifts. Your gift is me. Like, I've said this forever. What makes us all very unique, you're the delivery. You're the gift. Like, I can't send a better person to go talk to him than all of you on these calls. Why do we devalue our knowledge so much, Fred? Why?
Yeah, I mean, like, Sally's a very smart person, right? She knows her stuff. I see her comments. Brendan is another one. Jim Cooper is another one.
Terrell, you're talking about genius.
Yeah, Terrell's another one.
Yeah, Eric Borgia. Like, these are really smart people.
Right. These are smart people, and they still need a little bit of coaching when they deal with these. And please don't take it the wrong.
I'm the same way, by the way. I have insecurities like everybody else. I sell myself worse by far than I sell all of you. I sell you guys lights out, and we'll push you guys to the. When it comes to me, I'm as insecure as the next person, but it's true. When it comes to us as self-proprietors, you'll use the word humble, but the truth is you're great at what you do, Fred. You shouldn't, you're very good at what you do, but you are uncomfortable. Every once in a while, I can push you into this is what you need to do moment. And I think that if we got caught up more in, hey, homeowner, this is what you need to do because they're going to foreclose. There's no government rescue. There's no, like your particular case with Sally, you're talking $300,000-$400,000 worth of equity. What are you doing? Fool? Like, you just literally, do you realize how close you were to losing that? Like, that would be, oof, that's crazy, Fred. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, and I get it. And the guy felt such a sense of relief that he was able to stop it. And it was with the advice that I had given him. Let me just tell you what I did. So I called my buddy Johnny, all right? And my buddy Johnny is a great guy. He lives on Coronado, and he's a very successful guy. He's an attorney. He's a mortgage broker. He's a real estate broker, and he's a CPA. I mean, this guy is freaking brilliant, but he's freaking lazy too. He's a little bit lazy. So he's not as successful as he could be, but the guy still owns 6 houses and he does very, very well. Don't get me wrong. So let me just tell you, when I sold one of my exotic cars to him, I did not even have a written agreement, and I'm dealing with an attorney, but he's one of my best friends, if not my best friend. So anyways, I call him up. I have the client on the phone, and I told him, hey, mute your phone, because if he knows that you're on the phone, he's not going to give me advice. So I went ahead and I said, Johnny, I go, hey, dude, I got a chapter 13 here that I need to file, but the guy filed in 2019, and I just Googled it, and it says, hey, you can file every 2 years from the date that you filed the original chapter 13. I said, can you confirm that? He goes, yes, you're good. And I go, awesome, thank you. And he goes, blah, 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 blah. And I go, okay, great. So my client heard everything that my buddy said to me. He was on the phone. I told him to mute his phone. I went ahead and I sent him an email, and the email said something like this: hey, this is not legal advice. This is somebody that I trust who happens to be a lawyer, who happened to give me free advice. And if he knew you were on the phone listening to that free advice, he would probably kill me, number one. And number two, he could probably be held liable financially if something went wrong. So I'm just letting you know, I'm asking you to hold myself, Sally, and my attorney buddy harmless from any of this information. And please go check with your own attorney. I can't afford an attorney, Fred. All right. Well, then you can take my buddy's information to be true or not. But I just want you to know he would never lie to me. And that's the email that I pretty much sent to this guy. We got the trustee sale stopped. Now, Sally and I are going to call this guy and figure out a game plan for Simp, so we can get it
for
done
basically
before.
$500,000 worth of equity. You're talking about who was it that shot the shot for the Lakers with .01 seconds? Was that wasn't Worthy? Was it
Robert Horry? Was it Robert Horry?
One of the or Scott?
Byron Scott?
Might have been Byron Scott. The .01 second shot. This is a .01 second save in that kind of world. Like, let me explain why this is making me so crazy. I'm watching Alone on my Discovery Plus app because, yes, I feel that I'm going to be alone, Fred, someday. I'm just going to be in the woods, living alone off grid. Let's all just accept Lee will go crazy at some point. But these people are competing.
Call me before you do, Lee.
Yeah, no problem. Robert Horry. Yeah, Zengel got it right. You did get it right. It is Horry. I remember the t-shirts when they came out. 0.01 seconds matters or something. Like, they had a great t-shirt for it. So my point to it is I'm watching people literally kill themselves with grizzly bears living in remote British Columbia for 110 days, freezing to death and starving for $500,000. And this guy's got $500,000 worth of equity that he almost just handed back over to lending institutions. Had, Sally not shown up, or you shown up, or your buddy to show up and put in the effort. I'm literally watching contestants physically die on TV. Alone is fantastic. I don't know how legally they can put that on the air because you're basically watching the destruction of a human being. They don't get food. They don't, living alone in the remote wilderness for 110 days. There's not enough food or, warmth or shelter. For $500,000, this guy's got that kind of money. And he was just ready to go, meh. Did he think he was going to get a check in the mail from them for like the remainder after he got, it's not how it works. We've talked about it before, and these stories are becoming very common in this first wave. So it's pretty crazy. If I wasn't watching Alone last night, I probably wouldn't be so mad when Sally put up $400,000 worth of equity. Like, yeah, and you can almost 1031 exchange to that. So it's real money. Like, that's real money. Like, you can exchange that, right, Sally, and not have to pay the taxes on it, right? Like, I can do this sale.
That's for an investment property for your primary residence.
Okay.
You get a $500,000.
You guys are officially over my head on that. Okay, Sally wrote in. So he's going to have to pay taxes on the $400,000, or does he have a period of time before he can put that back into something?
So capital gains on your primary residence, the rules are single is $250, married is $500. It's based on the purchase price minus the selling price, minus purchase costs, minus selling costs, minus any improvements. And if that number comes up to be more than $500,000 if you're married, or more than $250,000 if you're single, then you're going to be paying capital gains. So that's the rules associated.
Sally gave you a huge thumbs up. So my point is, this dude got $400,000 without starving to death or living with grizzly bears in his backyard, eating berries while boiling his water. my that's why I'm like completely insane about like I will keep saying it for close to 40 years. The thing I do not get, if you have equity, why didn't you sell that house before the sale date? Like, I don't get it. I don't. I'll tell you the report I would love to see that we're never going to see ever, 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 ever. And I would love it. How much equity is still sitting in some bank somewhere that somebody hasn't taken back over the last 5 years after they were foreclosed upon? How much of that money is still just sitting out in etherical space? Because that's how it works. Once the trustee closes it all, like there's money sitting out there somewhere, Fred, that hasn't been returned to a lot of homeowners. You have to actually fill out paperwork and send it to the, like there's a thing you have to go through. This I know. Now we're back in my realm. You actually have to request those monies as the previous homeowners. Oof, that's crazy to me. This is all crazy to me. And again, I go back to what I was talking about with, I know we've got Jerry Sato on the phone, who's a broker up in San Jose. Like, if I had agents, you know, if you're leaning, you must be cleaning. That's the statement in a restaurant. Okay, well, if you're leaning in real estate, you got time to go call somebody who's got a notice of default. I mean, that would be my new logo if I was a broker in a brokerage. Catherine, in the 90s, sellers used to use their equity and took advantage of the down market. They took a big loss, but use the balance of the dollars to buy again. Yes, in theory, that's what should be occurring here as well. I would take that 400,000, go live in a motorhome or a van or something for a couple of years, wait for the market to correct. He could probably buy back in the same area, probably not the same size house, but certainly, you know, the dollar will go a lot further. I could be completely wrong, Fred. Did I lose Fred? Oh, there you are.
No. What? Here's something that I told the homeowner that came to me as a revelation yesterday after we got everything completed. Right. What I thought of, and this guy can't be around other people, and he needs to find a job. So I said to him, I said, you know what? This is a good business idea, by the way. I really think this is a good business idea. But, and I texted this to him, and let me read exactly what I texted to him because it was really well written, but let me just read it since I have already written it out. I said, okay, what did I say? You could put the steps down in writing and help people do exactly what you just did and charge them $399 to help them stop the trustee sale. You could start that business tomorrow. In fact, I can chat with you how to do that. You could do it from home too, once you get your house situated. That's what I said. And I said, after that, I said, hi, Liam. I'm sure it's a big relief that you got some extra time. Now it's time to get to work. We need to discuss our next action plan with you. Are you available this evening to discuss? Tomorrow is better. I'm wiped out. Turning phone off. That's how the guy felt after he got the trustee sale. But I really think, you know, after he got it delayed, but I really think that is a great business.
It's a great business, and it made me think of a great, I'm not going to say it because obviously I'm recording and it's the public call, but you just gave me, in fact, I know it'll work. In fact, I'm going to do it after the call because I know it's going to work and how many leads it's going to generate from it. Based on what you just said, I'm like, why wouldn't you do that? Why, that seems, wait, let me put a spin on this. And brilliant. It's brilliant.
It's a good idea.
It's a good idea. It really, you actually unlocked a way for me to do marketing on a very large scale with that idea.
You can go nationwide with that.
Why not?
Go to all,
why not?
Go to all the realtor groups
Yep.
all the realtor groups and say, if you have a person in foreclosure, let me tell you how to help them out.
100% free. I'm going to 100% free tell you how to avoid foreclosure. Look, selling is avoiding foreclosure. I'm not hiding anything behind what I'm saying, but if you want to hear where my brain's going and I tell somebody you need to avoid foreclosure because you have equity, one of those options is selling. I mean, that's just realistic. And knowing that 8 out of 10 people aren't going to qualify for any of the other stuff, why wouldn't you just go on Craigslist, Fred, and pay for the national listing of, hey, would you like to avoid foreclosure? Give me a call, 100% free. Now you're out of trouble. Can't take upfront money. Can't take upfront money. But you can do it. From a marketing standpoint, Fred, do you realize the number of calls you'd get from a Craigslist ad like that?
Or even, putting it in the Facebook groups, because that's,
oh God, yes.
I mean, Craigslist, Facebook, sending out to all the all the people that filed NODs, you can get those lists and just send out postcards to them. I'm sure they already offer those kinds of services, but the difference today is people actually need to stop the trustee sale because of the fact that they have equity. So it's it's more important to do that versus a short sale. When a short sale, all they want to do is stay there as long as they can. A foreclosure with equity, they still want to stay there as long as they can, but they don't want to lose their equity. And when it comes down to it, all I said was $400,000. Are you going to risk your $400,000 not to drive down to the trustee sale tomorrow morning just to make sure that it actually gets delayed? I go, I understand you do not have to go. I understand you already filed the bankruptcy, but doesn't it make sense to go verify it? Doesn't it?
$500,000.
I said if it was
starving in the wilderness for life-changing money like that, and all you got to do, start walking from Valencia listen, it's $500,000. I don't even care if I don't have a car. Take the bus, start your journey, start the day before, sleep on. It's like winning the lotto. Like, it's bizarre to me that people leave that much equity on the table. It really is. It really is. And I would love to know how much of that equity is still sitting out in space that people have never gotten back. Never gotten back. Ever.
Good for Sally. That is so good what Sally wrote. Look, she goes, one thing he said to me was he had a flow of realtors and cash buyers. What he didn't say, but implied, was his impression was that everybody was in it for themselves and didn't care about him. When I knocked on the door, I wasn't in it for anything except to help him. There you go.
That makes me very proud. And that's the point of Home Advocates. Let me gratuitously crowbar in a segment. For those that are on the call, there are 2 links up on the page. If you'd like me to do your email, or you still planning to have me do your email, he said to Eric Borgia, click on the link and get me your list. There's also a link to join Home Advocates. You would be considered an upgrade for attending and being live on these calls, which generally means I've worked with you in the past from Short Sale Genius forward. I think I'm going to do it tonight, Fred. I think I'm going to launch the new product tonight. The general agent product will come out tonight. It will be more expensive, and it will actually, they'll have to pull their own leads. They'll actually have to set up their own call center.
I'm actually interested in that, and I think you should open that up to other people who are interested in helping to market for that type of, because you know what, Lee, that is a smart, and that is something that is going to gain some traction. That is something that will never die. And I mean, during a good economy, of course, we're going to have less, people in foreclosure. I get it, but there's going to be less people marketing for that kind of business. And this is the business that gives you gratification. Like I seriously felt good yesterday that we helped this guy. And I know, Sally's response was hot damn, when I texted her to let her know that he got it stopped. That was her response. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to help people. I truly got gratification from that. And hopefully, I'm 99% sure he's going to use us to, our next plan of attack with this guy. And we're going to talk to him today. But the point is that we did our job and we did it well. And he got excellent advice.
And he'll refer people. He will ultimately refer people to you. I mean, I don't want to be cold and calculated on the topic, but at the end of the day, you need to get paid. Sally needs to get paid. You got bills too, right? I love that you guys want to help. I still think it's okay to make money. I just do. I mean, I do a lot of stuff that's ridiculous. Eric's asking me right now. He's gathering emails. I think you said 2,000 is the max. Yeah, because at $166 a month, which is basically the housing cost of 2,000 emails, I'm doing the email program at cost because I want to see what the conversion and the open rates and the cycle rates are. There's data to be gathered. So I objectively look at all those things. So when you help somebody for free, that also means he's going to tell people, Fred, at the end of the day. You have to look at big. I think what I took out of what Sally said, agents are very tunnel vision. I'm getting the sale. I don't care what happens to the homeowner. That's all I care about at this moment. I see helping somebody turning into them telling somebody, possibly taking care of something for them, or me doing emails at $166 a month, right? Which is just my housing cost on constant contact. But I'm gathering data that if I wanted to create a product later on, I now know exactly what the percentages are, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think we all need to look at the bigger picture of being a good person and helping people will get listings. No, it's always be closing. It's not. It really isn't. It really isn't that simplistic, in my opinion. It isn't. There's a reason why the top coaches converted to relationship marketing. There's no, if you look at the big coaches right now, they're very into social media marketing and building relationships, much like we've talked about for months and months and months. There's a reason for that. They're a little bit slower to make adjustments with the bigger training companies, but they're aware of the trends, just like me. We're just able to do it quicker because we're a mom and pop. Go ahead.
I told you yesterday, I think I told you that this is one where I am going to drive from Palm Springs to Valencia with Sally, and we are going to go do a video with this homeowner, and I might extend it out a little bit as much as I can get this guy to chat with us, because usually I like to keep it at 90 seconds or 60 to 90 seconds, but this guy has a lot going on, and his situation is a lot more difficult than the average person. Like, how can we sell a house if we can't go inside and look at it? That's a difficult situation. We got to get this guy out of the house. We got to be able to have people walk in that house and look at it. And we need to fix it up if it needs any TLC. And we need to go take a look at the homes that are for sale in the neighborhood and see how this house compares to all those homes and what we need to do in order to get top dollar for this house. And obviously, I'm going to have to probably cover this guy's mortgage of $100,000 and in the arrears. So we have some time to do all this. And this might be a 3 to 6 month project, right? Depending on what he's comfortable with, the seller. And that's what we're going to talk to him about today. But that's really the game plan, because that's where we can help this guy. So anyways, my point when I say all this is that it feels good to feel good, and it feels good to help people, and it's very motivating for me to want to go help other people. And anybody else in our group that wants my help if they want it, if they want Lee's help, or an investor or whatever situation, you know, I'm a good resource. Lee's an excellent resource. I think Steve Love probably has some investors.
It gets passed around no matter what comes in. When somebody says that they need someone immediately, it gets passed to you. It gets passed to Steve. It gets passed to my Vegas contact. Eric Borgia was asking about this. If it's you've got something, and you want it blasted to my national list of everybody I've ever worked with, I don't have a problem with that if I'm doing your emails as one of your emails. I mean, I get them all the time, off market listing type things. Like they are very, very much a thing. I'm going to turn off the recording because people don't listen to more than an hour anyway. Robert Zengel writes 12 stickers, 9 calls, and 2 appointments. Sticker time. Good stuff. Have a great week, y'all. Robert Zengel is one of the most prolific taggers that we have. I guarantee you will get face-to-face. There are links for those that are on the call. If you're watching this on replay on YouTube, or you've gotten one of our emails, there's a link for Fred. There's a link for Fred's downloads. There's links to join the program. There's links to do email. I think the point of today is you are looking at singularly the best data source. Undeniably, Fred, as a data source, pre-foreclosure properties for the next 2 to 3 years, can you think of a better data source?
I mean, besides your previous clients, no, I can't. And it's very motivating when I have situations like yesterday. It makes me want to talk to more homeowners that are in default that need help. I'm not going to lie. I get a extreme gratification.
It's addicting.
Yeah, it is. It really is, because it's just different than what I deal with on a normal basis, and it makes you feel good. And when you feel good, you want to feel good again. It's like, winning a golf tournament on television. It's like, winning a gold medal in the Olympics. There's no way it can't make you feel good. It's physically no way that unless I don't even know if you were like hardcore and, and you had a lot of mean bones in your body. I think even mean people would like the feeling that this business gives you. I mean, how could you not? So
as that kind of person, as a former bank person who derived some level of joy out of his job, or probably too much joy out of my job. The first time I had heard the stories, especially with this market, or the Alex story, or this story, or, what Stephen Thompson's doing, by approaching people that believe that Las Vegas program is going to help them. And he's done all this background and found out that only 8% get approved. Like, I love that stuff. And being, I guess, the catalyst, that is my catchword for today. The word is catalyst, to get everybody going in that direction. You're helping people, you're rewarding them with equity that they are just, in my personal banking opinion, too stupid to put their hands on before somebody will do something with it for them. You can tell me that I'm wrong, that they're scared, and that it's dumb. It's just plain. There is nothing inside of me since the day I started in 88. There is nothing inside me that does not see that as you had equity. You had equity. What are you doing? It's a historical fact for me while I worked at the bank. While people yell at me and tell me it's my fault at the bank that they're not paying me. But you have equity. Sell the house. Sell the house, right? No different than in the short sale period, people yelling at me, well, you'll take the loss. What are you talking about? Why would I do that? Like, why would I write off so you could pay off the first? What, you think I'm just going to give you a full release? I mean, and this is going back to what you and Sally have dealt with, and I think it's a really strong point. People shouldn't get involved with stuff they don't know anything about, especially people in a probate, pre-foreclosure, divorce. Like, if you're going to go into the deep end of the swimming pool and be a specialist, then join an organization that will help you be the best deep water swimmer there is. Like, when you get a patty card, you're not allowed to go more than 20 feet. Technically, you got to take open water deep dive. There's a course for it before they'll let you, go down to the kelp bottom. I mean, but I see, but real estate agents just jump in, Fred. Like they just go in. No, I'm going to the bottom. It's all good. It's all good. Going right to the bottom.
Some are smart enough to be more cautious. And I think Sally was one of those people because you know that you're messing with someone's life, right?
Yes.
And this person could have easily lost all of their equity. And so she put her pride aside, whatever pride she had, if there was any to put aside. I'm sure there was. I don't know. Maybe she just really, truly cares about helping people. And it wasn't about pride at all. She just didn't want to say the wrong thing. I don't know what it was, but whatever it was, she did the right thing. And I know she learned something during this project because you know what? I learned something too. And what I learned was that you can file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy after 2 years from the filing date. And it was confirmed with a buddy of mine who I trust, who is an attorney who does bankruptcies in the state of California. So I was able to confirm that you were able to file another Chapter 13 as long as it was 2 years after the original file date. That is something I didn't know. I Googled it, but I don't trust Google. I mean, I kind of do, but I wasn't going to just accept that answer. I wanted to confirm with someone that I trust to confirm that you could file another Chapter 13. And sure enough, he rattled it off right off the top of his brain. It's like when you call your CPA and you ask your CPA a question, hey, I'm looking to do a 1031 exchange, or hey, I'm looking to sell my property. I'm 55 years old. I heard you can transfer the property tax basis to the new property. Can you tell me what the rules are associated with transferring the property tax basis to the new property? If the CPA says something like this, well, Fred, let me look into it and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's bad. Or you talk to another CPA and this rattles the information right off the top of his head. Which CPA are you going to go with? The one that needs to look it up or the one that already knows? Obviously,
I completely agree.
That's how it is in this business. You got to go with people that already know.
I think so. I especially when you're talking about, decisions like these that are coming down to the wire. Hey, for those that are on the call that have not upgraded, please upgrade. There's a link. You will never see that price again. And if I do release the new product tonight, you will never see a way into the Platinum group where they do get their leads sent to them. By the way, Lee@Honish.io for this month's leads. I think Lori got that all worked out. I'm actually going to change the Lee@Honish.io to get her Lori at Home Advocates. You think I could put in a few minutes and get that one done? That's a project I think I can get done. I should get done, which would only be fair to her. But everything is set up for Lee@Honish.io. I've been working on the new product for a while to get it ready to sell it to the regular agents who are still going after expireds, if there are such a thing. I don't know if there are expireds anymore. It's always my running joke. Expired's not a trigger event. That's not a trigger event. It's an action of a bad agent. So we've got that going for you. Everybody sign up for email. Click the links down below. You can get Fred's information if you're watching this off the email. Fred's information is down below, as well as all of mine. We would love to hear from you, get your feedback. Please sign up. Please, 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 before I launch the new product. But if you see an email talking about joining Home Advocates, you will know the prices have changed and you waited too long. With all of that said, tomorrow is Thursday, which will be our conversion call. Are you playing golf tomorrow, Fred?
No, I'm not. I just wanted to quickly chat about what Sally said here. And I think this is very helpful for anybody else who has talked to homeowners in default. What's the number one thing that you learned during the transaction that could benefit other homeowners that are dealing with the same thing? I think if we put a list together like that, that would be very, very valuable to help with as an advocacy.
What a
group.
great Thursday conversation. That sounds like a great Thursday conversation. And that's what we'll do for a great Thursday conversation.
The
Please
number
click.
one thing that you learned while helping a homeowner in foreclosure. What's the number one thing that you learned that could help other homeowners that is beneficial as an advocacy group?
Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Tune in to find out what Dr. T. Miller has to say on that topic. Please click the links. Please subscribe. Please share. Thank you, everyone.